excited to be here. I'm gonna share my screen now and look forward to sharing a few observations that I have about scaling without a big budget, and I'll share some examples of all that. Some of this is based on a new actual print book that I guess some folks are still crazy enough to write about in this AI age. I did write this one myself. Yes, I used AI to help me plan it and brainstorm. I did write a couple of books with AI. They're not good. They were on Amazon for a bit as an experiment. They're not now, so don't worry, you can't buy them by accident. But excited to be here to talk to you as a marketer, an author for what it's worth, and it's helpful. And just like one of the things that I feel so privileged to get to do today is to learn from a lot of marketers participating in the AI Marketers community, AI Marketers Guild community that I founded about 2 years ago, just as a way for something that's really peer-led. And I host a lot of conversations, and I usually get to be the one interviewing, so it's nice to spend a little time on this side of the camera as well. But so much of what I write and talk about is informed by both what I've learned from others in the community and some of the speakers we have, and also because I'm a fractional CMO myself, I'm trying to harness this for my own business, and I'll give you a specific example of that in a little bit. As far as what we are going to cover today, well, there's a lot that we'll get into on just some specific growth strategies, tools, things like that. I've got a lot of resources that I'm happy to share. Some I actually curated, and I'll show you where to find them. For anyone who wants the slides, I'm very happy to have Midday Connect send things around. The more we can share knowledge, the better. In the slides themselves, I keep religious track of sources of everything, and there are a bunch of slides kind of at the end as an appendix I'll allude to that have some more specific tech recommendations that are kind of boring to present. They're lists of things, and so I kind of took them and moved to the end. If anyone wants me to send them to you directly, then I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn or just shoot me an email, and that's in here too. So this is also something, again, I just did this fresh for Midday Connect here. So hopefully the bit.ly will work. It seemed to. If you go to bit.ly/AI-guides, I can't believe that branded link was available, but you can scan it or type it in depending on where you're calling in from. I am calling in from the middle of Manhattan, New York City, literally around the corner from the Empire State Building. So right in the center of things here, and just excited to connect with all of you in Utah and well beyond. There are a few worksheets I had I put together here. There are actually 6 of them in the folder, so I'll allude to these as well. But again, like, feel free to download these, use them. I'll have a few thought starters for how they can fit in. They're pretty self-explanatory, so you do not need, I don't know if I should say this, you don't need to buy the book to figure this stuff out. I'm sure everyone here can, pretty darn literate, maybe more tech savvy than I am. I just want to share a quick example just about a piece of business I actually was able to get thanks in part to, in large part to using AI, right? Like this stuff can have a material impact on all of us. And so I did have I did have a mix of ChatGPT and one of my favorite image generators, Ideogram, that I use to describe a photo of me and then put myself in a kind of a Ken Burns Civil War reenactment setting. So this is a reenactment of me writing the books if there are no actual photos of me writing it. But one example that I wanted to point out is I got connected about a year ago to this great business intelligence consulting firm, Athena Solutions, and so came up with a proposal and some ways to work with them as fractional CMO. And then we discussed things. They're like, well, can you provide some kind of audit for where we are right now. And I'm like, great, let's come up with a list of people related to your business who I can talk to, and let's dive in and do some interviews. And I started doing some interviews. And what was great with doing these customer and stakeholder interviews is that I could then focus on the conversations themselves. And I had more than 6 hours of these conversations by the end of it, where I then could then use AI to help me compare and connect dots and say, like, well, what are some of the trends people are seeing in common? What are they seeing that's different? What are events that came up? What are publications that came up? Like, how are different people defining the ICP in some way? And ultimately, could I have done this manually? Absolutely. It would have probably taken me 50 to 100 hours to do, and instead of 10 to 20 hours, and something that I could do this in a manageable scope for this project, not have to charge for 100 hours that would not have been feasible anyway, and actually use this to go and then and then through a lot of human review and like my own further research on some of these things, come up with this material very quickly where it was based on the actual conversations. And kind of, I think that there's a much more of a push of using your own data and smaller amounts of information in AI. Like I love having folders in ChatGPT or Notebook LM projects where you have a more constrained set of data that isn't the web at large, and being able to use this to go to inform your output. I love testing and learning and just using whatever I can, often in some weird ways. I actually sent holiday cards. This was literally one you can see a similar background, maybe some slightly different decor as it changes, but this was the Hey Jen video avatar version of me that I sent as holiday cards. Ida is actually my aunt. Hi, Ida, if you're watching. She's not, but she, I'm sure, would love love that I'm doing this, and calling her out before I see her pass over this weekend. Anyway, like the tools for doing this kind of thing, it's crazy, right? Like when I look at something like HeyGen, which is one of many video personalization tools out there, but I think like the most kind of bang for the buck is like you could try it for free, $30 a month. You could do a fair amount. And like if you pay like $80 a month, you can do this like souped up like NASA grade stuff. And I'm thinking like before like fall of 2022, it cost me what, 100 grand, 500, a million to do something like this. And now for like maybe $80 for the pro tools, that I can upload a list of my 100 best prospects, customize all this stuff, and do all these crazy things with it that like make things super relevant to them. And anyway, it's just like the kind of power that we have now. If you're like, you still need to use this well, right? Like spamming a million people with some personalized message, like it isn't going to get you a lot further now than it was going to when you were doing whatever robo dialers 3 years ago. But now, adding this strategically and still, sticking to your brand values here, there's just so much more opportunity that we have, and to me, that's some of the excitement with it. So, I don't think AI is all good. I don't think we have to use AI for everything. I think it's getting harder to not use AI for things, but there are just so many areas where this could be helpful. I mean, limited budgets, conversion rates are tough. I'm going to fly through some of this, especially stuff that you can read on your own after, if you want, because I know I'm guilty of putting a few too many slides in here, but I just want to get some of the main points out. First of all, most AI projects fail. I think that's actually a good thing. This was a study by Rand Corporation. To me, it's a signal that there's a lot of experimentation going on right now, and being able to fail in ways that you can learn from, I think, is tremendous. And I got to say, I spent most of my career on the agency side before moving into tech, and then some of my own consulting. And I mean, I've never seen, like, especially on like the brand and agency side, I've never seen adoption happen this quickly. So whenever we think, oh, someone doesn't get it, they're slow, whatever, like, I mean, it would take like 5, 10 years for some of these brands to have like a Facebook page or a Twitter account, or like figure out like that TikTok was going to be a thing. Um, and so many of the so many folks like started at least testing it out in small ways right away. I think that's great. I think that it's exciting that there are new metrics coming out. I credit the agency Brand Tech Group at Jellyfish, Jack Smith, their chief strategy officer, for coining this idea of share of model, as we try to think of like not just the share of voice in social or in search, but what's the share of model we have when people are talking about us. I was actually just this morning using a new tool, newish tool, everything's new, Otterly.ai, that helps analyze, if you, I don't even know like how mainstream or not these terms are, but there's kind of a coalescence around the term GEO, a generative engine optimization, as the new form of SEO. And that one seems to be sticking, but how does your brand fare in some of these models? And by the way, like Otterly, for like the first pass at stuff is free. Like so there's very little excuse not to try some of these things. There's a worksheet in that folder I mentioned for tracking ROI and performance. Ultimately, what's less important is exactly how you do it. More important that there's some idea, right? Like how are you going to tell if this is successful or not? And there are a lot of ways to get there, right? Like so AI can be used to meet a lot of different goals. And to that end, this is why we don't need to totally like rewrite things, right? Uh, we don't need an AI marketing strategy. You need a business strategy, maybe you need a marketing strategy. Sure as hell don't need an AI marketing strategy. It could still market, right? Like if you're marketing, sales, operations, you have a job to do. Maybe need a fundraising strategy, and see where AI can fit in with that. And was just helping a company I'm advising with that just before this call. So it's like okay, are there ways that AI can help get us in front of some of the right people, but it's not an AI strategy for it. And yeah, like AI can help with a lot of different areas. We talked about personalization, optimization, testing at scale. Like we were able to do a lot of this before machine learning, definitely before generative AI, but now that kind of scale is tremendous. I think that so much of the conversations these days are like, where do humans fit in again? And so much of this, even in that last session, it's funny, just like in the literally my previous conversation before this, where the founder and I were just kind of having a rap session about some of the wording in his deck. He used AI for it. I've used AI to help him, but like this, like workshopping things, and my goal was, let's get as many words out of here as possible that don't meet the need of the someone on the receiving end of it, whether a customer or or an investor, right? Like that's really like, you can do this with AI way better when you're doing this with humans. So it's just trying to see where to use this for maximum impact. I'm going to speed through so we have enough time to get for Q&A, and I apologize for having a few too many slides. And this also, I will say, is a lot of new material I'm excited to share, that's kind of based on some thinking from the book and other things that I'm literally updating stuff every day, and was creating new material this morning because things are changing very quickly. But like again, like AI, it can't can't fix a shitty product, can't fix bad business model. So it is hardly a balm for all this, and I'm sure all of you have seen some version of garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. I think that we're going to go from this point of like everyone trying to be an AI company to just trying to be a company again. Like it might help with valuations for a little bit, but ultimately what problems are you solving? Like I'm about to go reread Simon Sinek's Start with Why. Like it's just so much of this is how do we get back to fundamentals and tear ourselves away from this just reliance on like making AI everything. But there are lots of ways that you can use AI to optimize processes. Um, and there's some great case studies out there. I thought this one caught in Business Insider from Firm Repurpose, just using AI to go and automate a lot. And here it was saving a couple days a week, which is a pretty big deal, especially for earlier stage companies where every hour counts. And and again, like this can help at all stages. Looking at a bigger company, I think there's a lot of great inspiration from brands like this, like Reckitt Benckiser, or and if you just look at some of the different metrics, right, like concept development time, ad localization, emissions goals, then you can think a lot bigger than just leads and things like that. And also maybe you work for like a really long-standing owner-operated business. Love or hate Bernie, I gotta love the memes, gotta love the Bernie memes. But it's like if anyone's had this cake here, this is a 200-year-old recipe at a 150-year-old hotel, this soccer hotel in Austria, and they're using AI, right? Like I don't. I've worked so much on the agency side. So much of it is about the people, your intellectual curiosity, your hunger, and that's going to determine a lot of the winners and losers. One of my favorite, maybe my favorite big brand example so far. Highly recommend just looking this up. Google or AI it, ChatGPT it, Gemini it. But Beck's autonomous beer, they actually show this wonderful landing page of all the different ways they used AI in coming up with a new Beck's beer, and then how they actually launched it. Now their end result here, they sold out beer, but it doesn't take a lot for a major brand to sell out a few hundred cases of a limited edition beer. So to me, that's less exciting. The more exciting is that they experimented in public. I did have ChatGPT's new image creator show examples of AI in the customer journey. These are based on all these slides I have in the appendix here. So again, I'm happy to share all the slides and you can have a lot of specific tool recommendations there. I didn't want to get too bogged into them, but there are also some great just ways for just if you want a starting point for how to go evaluate these tools. Happy to chat about these things further. And there are some other recommendations as well, again, in the AI guides. Just a few final thoughts, and then I want to go into Q&A, but like, again, just adding AI to something doesn't make it better. New York City launched an AI app, and it was actually telling people to break the law. Like, you have to test this stuff. You need humans with good judgment here. Also great that everyone across the left and right hates our Mayor Adams. So, but like, I love this. I love the city I'm in here, but we really botched this one. And you see a lot of LinkedIn slop that's clearly like AI generated, repeating it. I mean, someone just recycling the same post every single month. Like, God, just be human, please. Like, please, like, they're good and bad, right? Like, it might not just and so like you can smell some of these AI pitches just a mile away, and just the more we send all these bad ones, it ruins it for everyone else. So I did have way too much fun at South by Southwest this year, holding up in my hotel room generating memes, and I'll keep doing it. Last thing I'll close with, and then we'll go into Q&A, is the most important word in AI is yet. If you can't do something with it, it's probably just not there yet or not out yet, but check in a few weeks, months, maybe days. Like, things are moving so quickly and it's fun. Excited for some Q&A, and also welcome staying in touch. Whether you want the guides, you want to connect, you just want to email me and send the deck and never talk. I'll send the deck. You don't even have to talk to me again. all good. But thanks to the Midday Connect team for having me, and Ollie for being here.
Thanks, David. It's a great, I know you had to, it's tough to compress, right? All of that into a short period of time. And then one of the things you hit on, and I'd love if people out in this audience have figured out a way to keep track and keep tabs on, I mean, the evolution, right? It's every day, it's every 3 days, it's every 3 hours. There's some new exciting development. But I mean, guess maybe I should just go on a vacation and unplug from that, and then it'll be like, okay, we're a week later and stuff happened. Um, so Q&A, what questions do we have for David? Anecdotally, I threw that in the chat, and I don't know if Nathan, if that's what you're replying to is mine, but someone offered their expert opinion on the technology we were looking at, and if you've used GPT a lot and you know kind of the bullet points and the structure that it gives, it was clear that they had copy and pasted from GPT into their reply email to me, and so it's like, yes, it was sort of helpful, but I could have done that. I had already done that myself, so I think offering expert opinions and then going to AI is just a relationship breaker, in my opinion.
And I see Nathan asking how much I use Grok. Of all the major ones out there, I'll say that's the one I admittedly use the least. I've been shifting actually more and more of my time over to Gemini lately. It's just fascinating like how much is being worked in there. I'm actually excited that next month I have to give a talk at a major brand that said they only use Copilot. And so like, okay, that's going to force me to get back into there because I have it on all my Microsoft Office stuff, and it's always like almost. But you know, and also sometimes I seriously get to the point where like I start using something for a bit, and then I'm like what the hell is wrong with it? I'm trying not to curse out the AI like literally as I'm typing it, but like I will sometimes use caps lock. I'm like, I said this, like just do this, and then I switch to another and keep rotating it. But appreciate the heads up. I see Joel has a question. So
It's refreshing to have someone that's talking about AI that's obviously a subject matter expert in the field that's as brutally honest as you are about the reality of where you're at and how it does need to be coddled and taken forward. I just want to say thanks because there's so many people out there. This is the solving the problem for all of these things. It's really not. It's still at the end of the day, you've got to be able to make sure that it really expresses what you're trying to say. So.
Yeah, and like that working session I just had with this founder, like I think AI helped us get to a better place. Like it gave us some like good stuff to work off of, but it seriously felt like I was like back in my agency days, and like we had one of these calls, there wasn't a set agenda to it, and like in 10 minutes he and I realized like it was more productive than like just so many of our like it was that human like we got it right. And like AI's made me feel kind of good sometimes. It's like especially when I'm just sort of been able to get a proposal out the door that I've been putting off for a week, and I was like, okay, this is good enough. But yeah, it's like that human collaboration. There's something to it.
Can we go? I'm going to go in reverse order here. So BJ had a question, curious about tools to use depending on the stage of growth. For example, cheap or free tools
Well,
for a startup.
yeah, and like the beauty of it is most of these things are free to start or cheap as hell, right? Like, if you look at HeyGen on the video personalization, Play.ai is another kind of it's a rival to 11 Labs that probably hear a lot about. I mean, 11 Labs is also amazing. Yeah, like most of like the paid versions, right? Like you see how quickly OpenAI went with deep research from the $200 a month plan to now the $20 a month plan gets 10 searches, deep research searches a month, and like you can get a lot out of that. Like I was actually using deep research this morning, and like Perplexity, Gemini, same thing. So the amount you can do, and even some of these tools like if you look at things like Zapmail for getting domains, and then you combine this with Instantly AI for email inbox warm up, and again, like so many of these tools I have in the full slide recommendations here for specific ones, but like you have like enterprise grade things that are like 50 to 100 bucks a month, and like really good like SMB grade things for like 20 to 50 bucks a month, and a lot of them are free. And it's like, yes, they can add up. It's sort of like your streaming services subscriptions. All of a sudden it's like, wait, why is my cable bill like now twice what it was when I had cable? But you're in a way, it's like you're bringing a whole team here, right? You're getting a lot more than 5 of the same kind of streaming services. So
Other questions, you can come off mute or you can put it in the chat. Got time.
I have a question slash comment. So I do a lot of the similar work. I do AI integration and implementation strategy. So it's fun to hear other people's perspectives as we're getting into this world. And I just did a post yesterday, like every job's an AI job, every company's an AI company now, right? Like how do you integrate it? And because of all of this shift and change that's happening between all the different capabilities, functionalities, like you were saying, it's every 3 hours, 3 days, like it's overwhelming. And I think a lot of companies, and as I've talked to CIOs, the biggest challenge they've had is they're concerned about picking the right platform. So as a startup, that same consideration of what platform should I be picking? And if I go too deep on one and then the better one comes out and I'm already stuck because I've developed on this platform, you've got issues, right?
mm-hmm.
And so from a technology, kind of selecting the right product, there are platforms out there, and I know some people are out using this, it's on this call already, where you can build out a middleware layer,
Yeah,
which allows you to be selective and change your backend AI tool, so that, let's say you want to move from ChatGPT to Grok to whatever Perplexity, whatever engine on the back end, you can build those models to where you can switch it, but you don't lose you don't want to hard code any of your integrations right now. So as you're looking at these tools, there are middleware solution sets that are coming on the scene that allow you that flexibility to move through this AI journey without getting stuck and ending up in, oh, they just changed their pricing structure, we can't afford this, now I've got to pivot somewhere else. It could be disrupting. And so, yeah, Chad, enhanced.ai is the product that I was talking about. I resell their platform. So Flux Prompt is the one that allows you to say not only which backend AI, but also gives you the flexibility to meet where your data is at. You don't have to migrate into a new tool or a new SaaS platform. I mean, SaaS platforms are going to be, it's going to be interesting where things go from there. But I just want to put a plan out there as far as when you're making decisions on these platforms and how you pull it in, there are some kind of upfront planning you need to do to make sure that you're not going to get caught in something down the road where it's really hard to back out of. So
great
that was
point.
just my thought.
Yeah, it's great points, and I think also, like, for things that aren't, like, as mission critical, like where you have to go and place a bet for the next year or two, then and especially things that you're trying to dabble in, like see if they work for you. Signing like monthly or quarterly plans makes so much more sense right now because the speed at which things are changing. So it's like most things, like, you aren't going to need to have like as that like system of record type implementation, and this just yeah the as much of this try before you buy is key. And yeah, flexibility I think is a huge and maybe underappreciated word when it comes to this. So appreciate that, Trina.
One more question. Okay.
Yeah, I got lots of questions, but a lot to navigate.
This is great. Thanks, David, so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge and kind of just gathering up a lot of this and presenting it. You've given us a lot to think about. And also thanks for the resources. If you didn't see those already, folks, you can, we'll share them out through email and LinkedIn. And we'll see you all back here next Tuesday.